the islands of the Antarctic, the weak spring sunshine brings little comfort to man or beast. But one species of mammal can live comfortably on the windswept sea ice. It's the Weddell seal. Weddell seals are wonderfully adapted for diving. They can go deeper and stay under for longer than almost any other seal. What gives them an advantage over all the others is their ability to rear their pups while the sea is still frozen. From the tip of the Antarctic Peninsula, a chain of islands reaches to the north. Among them, in the South Orkneys, lies Cygni Island, one of the bases of the British Antarctic Survey. The base is manned all year round, and in winter the humans have to wage a running battle with the weather. In conditions like these, the only other warm-blooded creatures on the island are a few birds and the Weddell seals out on the sea ice. The sea ice begins to form in April as pancake ice. The pancakes join together, and as the ice gradually becomes thicker, it is repeatedly crunched up by winds and tides until the whole sea surface is covered with an irregular sheet which can be up to 5 meters thick. The weak sunlight returns to Cygni in July, though it will be a long time before any other signs of spring appear. The pregnant seals return in late August under the sea ice to places where it is firmly fixed to the shore, the so-called fast ice areas, and where it is no more than a couple of meters thick. When a female finds a crack in the ice, she grinds the edge away with her teeth until she has made a hole big enough to climb out of. Then she hauls herself out onto the ice to prepare for the birth of her pup, which is only a day or two away. She is about 3 meters long and weighs about 400 kilograms. She often shovels some of the snow away with her nose. Nobody knows quite why she does this, but it's very commonly seen when a female is about to give birth. Most of the pups on Cygni are born in the first week of September. The seals are not exactly gregarious, but they gather to give birth in certain favourite places. At Cygni, as many as 500 females arrive each spring. They gather in loose groups of about 35 or 40, dotted about over the frozen sea. On the second or third day after the mother came ashore, the first contractions begin, and her pup is on its way into the world. Most mammals are born head first, but the seal pup is perfectly streamlined at both ends. It doesn't matter whether it is born head first or tail first. The first thing the mother does is to nuzzle her pup. Each will learn the smell of the other to help them to identify each other later on. Now the pup must take its first meal. The mother presents her nipples for it to find. It may take over an hour before it manages to begin feeding. pup will put on weight very quickly as it feeds on its mother's rich, fatty milk. It weighs 25 kilos when it is born, and when it is weaned 6 or 7 weeks later, it will weigh over 140 kilos. That's putting on weight at an average of over 2 kilos a day. Surrounded by snow stained by blood from the birth, mother and pup lie alone in a white wilderness. When bad weather rolls in, the pup is still not very well insulated from the icy wind. It needs to shelter behind its mother from the blowing snow. She is so perfectly insulated that the heat from her body doesn't melt the snow which is lying on her. This perfect insulation can actually cause a problem for the seals. Sunbathing in the clear Antarctic atmosphere can raise their temperature to the point where they need to get rid of the heat. They can do this by increasing the blood flow to their skin. When a seal has been cooling off in this way, it often leaves a melted impression of itself in the snow. The pup's own blubber layer thickens quite quickly, and before it is 4 weeks old, it is time for its first swimming lesson. Its mother peers down the hole first to make sure that there are no other mothers with pups or territorial males nearby. Both might attack her baby. When she is sure that the coast is clear, she slips into the water. Persuading the pup to come in with her is more difficult. She calls to the pup, but it's very reluctant at first to follow her into a strange new world. It has only just become comfortable on the ice. Finally, after a great deal of persuasion, it takes the plunge. The first few dives will be very short and shallow. Because its blubber is not yet very thick, the pup can stay in for only a short time. Also, it uses up energy quickly while it is swimming, and this slows down its growth rate. The older a pup is when it first goes into the water, the quicker it grows. The seals' voices under the water range from muffled groans to high-pitched whistles, like someone tuning a shortwave radio. Climbing out of the hole is very difficult when the ice is so thick. The mother gives the pup a helpful nudge with her nose. Before she climbs out herself, the mother works on the edge of the hole with her teeth. Although it is spring, the weather is still very cold, and there is a danger of the hole freezing over. No other seal can keep an ice hole open in this way. The Weddell seal uses its front teeth, the canines and the incisors, which are very strong and project forward. The humans too have ways of making and maintaining a hole in the ice for their own diving activities. As it grows older, the pup becomes less reluctant to follow its mother into the water. In fact, it is often warmer in the water than out. The temperature of the sea under the ice is constant at -1.8 degrees centigrade, while the air temperature can drop as low as -40. The breathing holes are very important to seals. Males often fight over them, threatening each other with throaty clicks and using their ice-cutting fangs as weapons. A number of seals carry wounds from these skirmishes. This is why the mothers look carefully before taking their pups swimming. The fang marks on this female are a memento of one such encounter. The females don't fight amongst themselves. Mothers and pups lie scattered on the snow-covered sea ice, paying little or no attention to their neighbours. As a pup grows up, it places a heavy demand on its mother, taking milk which is replaced from her body fat, a store which she laid down while she was pregnant, and one which she is now quickly using up. Rest is very important to both mother and pup, to conserve her energy for milk production and to enable the pup to put on the maximum amount of weight. Some unfortunate pups fail to survive, either through injury or illness. Scavenging sheafbills clear away the frozen carcass. The pups are beginning to molt out of their baby fur, becoming ever more confident in their movements. They remain close to their mothers, who are still very cautious about leading them into the water. The mothers take their babies swimming every day, but they rarely feed until the pups are weaned, at about 7 weeks of age. A Weddell seal is wonderfully well adapted for diving. The adults can dive to 600 meters and remain submerged for up to 70 minutes. The record for depth is held by a northern elephant seal, but the Weddell is a very close second. Their movement under the water is a mixture of flying like a bird and swimming like a fish. They fly with their front flippers when they are moving slowly, but when they want to go fast, they use their hind flippers, just like a fish's tail fin. They find their way about by recognizing irregularities in the undersurface of the ice and the chinks of light which shine through it. The Weddell seal's world is a maze of tunnels and shifting light, painted in blues and greens by the ice overhead, and echoing with the unearthly, almost electronic calls of other seals, far away and close at hand. When a Weddell seal begins a long, deep dive, important changes take place within its body. Among other things, the blood supply is reduced to all organs except the heart, brain, and eyes. Its intestines, liver, and kidneys slow right down, but its swimming muscles carry on with less and less oxygen. The seal will pay a price for this later. However, the oxygen never quite runs out. The spleen releases a steady supply of red blood cells loaded with oxygen. This built-in aqualung will keep the vital organs supplied for the rest of the dive. The humans have no such adaptations. Their aqualungs are strapped on, not built in, and they must insulate themselves with neoprene suits and keep in contact by means of a lifeline. By these means, they can share the beauties of the seal's world under the ice. Their breathing hole is guarded by a lineman, waiting to welcome his charges back to the sunlight and air. A seal returning to its breathing hole after a long dive may need as much as an hour to recover, getting rid of waste products which have collected in its muscles because they have been working with so little oxygen. After a short fishing dive, it will merely take a few deep breaths and be ready to set off again. After a dive, the seals need to dry their fur to keep warm in the cold breeze. Even this far into the Antarctic spring, the air temperature may be 20 degrees below zero. They roll on the ice to squeeze the water out of their coats. The pup still tries to keep in the lee of its mother to shelter from the driving snow. Scientists from the British Antarctic Survey have been tagging young seals and their mothers since 1960. Weddell seals have no predators in their icebound breeding places, so they are relatively placid when the men approach, driving their skidoo out over the frozen sea. The results of the tagging show that most of the females breed every year from the age of 5 onwards, for at least 18 years. Some have their first pup when they are only 2. Exactly where they haul out to have their pups depends on the ice conditions. But as far as the ice permits, females tend to return to roughly the same area each year. It looks rather as if the pup blames the mother for its momentary discomfort, as the tag is clipped to its flipper. By now, the pup is nearly fully weaned and reaching about 140 kilograms in weight, about a third as heavy as its mother. It is spending more and more time in the water and will soon be learning to catch fish for the first time. Among the whistles and clicks of the Weddell seal's vocabulary, there's another sound at this time of the year. It's the males grunting underwater, mainly to warn off another male which is coming too close to their territory. Females make the same sound from time to time if a male comes closer than they would like while their pup is still not fully grown. The young Weddell seal benefits from its long and leisurely weaning period. It has more time than other seals for swimming practice, so that it can learn to fish before its mother stops feeding it. Other closely related seals have to learn to swim and to catch food after their mothers have abandoned them. Even when it's nearly 7 weeks old, the young Weddell can ask for and be given milk from its mother. Spring is really on the way when the snow petrels begin to gather in small flocks on the sea ice. Everywhere winter is loosening its grip. Next to arrive are the pintado petrels, which begin to dig out the snow from their nesting ledges. Giant petrels too return to their nesting grounds. All these creatures are starting their summer activities as the Weddell seal is just about ready to finish. Soon the icebergs, which have been imprisoned in the bay for the whole of the winter, will be set free. The pups too are nearly ready to set off into the open ocean, with the whole summer before them in which to practice what they have learnt, and to build up their resources to survive the next winter. By being able to breed so early, Weddell seals give their pups the best chance of survival. When the ice finally breaks up, Sydney becomes accessible once more to humans as well as to seals and birds. The British Antarctic survey ship, John Biscoe, calls to relieve the winter crew at the base. The seals have already taken to the sea, hauling out occasionally onto the little floes which are all that remain of the fast ice. Soon they will disperse to wander the Southern Ocean until they return under the ice in the next bleak Antarctic spring.